Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the High Frequency Kicks podcast, available on YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I think I need to learn how to start podcasts. I don't know how to start them.
Well, we did our intro.
We did do our intro, and we got to do like the...
So we don't need to do like... Do you have a bruise on your head?
No, that's been there since high school.
What?
Yeah. Well, welcome to the part of the podcast where Sam learns what my forehead looks like.
It looks like you like walked into the door or something.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember in high school when I started growing my hair out?
No.
This is why.
Some people didn't pay attention to everything you did in high school.
Call them losers.
Okay, but Thomas.
Yeah.
It's like really, really dark.
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously it's new.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
I don't remember what it is. I went to a dermatologist when I was a teenager for it. It's nothing of consequence. It's not like it's not an issue in any way.
So it's like a birthmark or something.
No, because it showed up when I showed up when I was a teenager. Like in high school, it showed up. I don't remember what it is.
It's a teenager mark.
It's a teenager mark. I don't remember what it is. I keep meaning to go back to dermatologist because I think there's something they can do to actually get rid of it.
Yeah, it's called foundation.
Oh, yeah. You kind of... Sorry, the video slowed there, so you all of a sudden you were going, it's called foundation. So it got really weird there.
I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, that's why I grew my hair out in high school. And then eventually I stopped caring.
Right on.
So yeah.
Good choice.
Thanks. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's I guess the intro. So welcome everyone to the High Frequency Kicks podcast.
What are we talking about today, Thomas?
We're going to talk about popular culture. Popular culture is it has a huge impact on the things that it represents, and a lot of things get represented and shown in popular culture. And pop culture has this fun way of really having a huge influence on everything that it represents. And martial arts is no exception. So we want to talk a little bit about how the martial arts and the people that practice the martial arts are represented in popular culture, and kind of bring that into talking about the people that maybe buy a little too much into that pop culture representation or version of the martial arts and martial artists and what we should be like or look like or all that kind of stuff. So I think that's gonna be a fun topic to we can probably unload that in several podcasts. We're gonna try and just scratch the surface today on the pop culture effects on martial arts.
I like how you said how we should look like after I just like started talking about your appearance.
I'm very self-conscious about it.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. I was in high school.
I'm not sorry.
I'm in my 30s now. I don't care.
I know, right? 30s are great.
Yeah. It's like, oh, wow. That's right. I really don't care about anything. That's not true. I care about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like my bills. Okay, anyways.
This is not...
Yeah, so like...
this is not
bad start.
The life topic podcast.
Yeah. So anyway, so he's like, when you say representation of pop culture and then like kind of building people's expectations, like the first thing that comes to my mind is like when you're at your training school and a new student comes in and they're like, how come we're not flipping off of buildings and, doing some crazy spin kick in the air, and they're like just learning a front snap kick for the first time and they're doing it 100 times and they're like, wow, this is really boring. Yeah. And then, you can just see the disappointment set in, and it's like with anything else, it's like you have to start really basic. So that's always a funny observation, I thought.
Yeah, I think we've had that. We've all had that with students. I know Andrew and I on a couple of occasions. There's one in particular for me that comes to mind. I know, again, Andrew's coming up again because, again, all my stories have Andrew involved. And we're going to keep talking smack about him until he watches the podcast. But there's one student I remember in particular. He had two questions. There's two times he had questions that stuck out to me that I realized that he had a particular view of martial arts. One time was when we were teaching him. I left the gym for a second to go do something in the office. I came back, and Andrew kind of looked at me and said the question to me exactly the way it was asked to him. He said, "Thomas, what would be your best self-defense if you were in prison?" I just kind of looked at him and said, "Don't go to prison."
Don't drop the soap.
Yeah, no, don't go to prison. Was my answer. And he kind of shook his head and was like, or nodded his head. He's like, "Yep, that's what I said. Don't go to prison." There's lots of things that you can. I never thought of prison-specific self-defense as a thing to teach or to even consider. Like, to me, it's like self-defense is self-defense. If I'm in a prison, which I shouldn't be, but if I am, it's not different than. I guess it is different in some aspects, but I don't have that experience to really say. But it was just one of those questions that really caught us off guard. And the other one he had was, the doors in the gym. There's the big overhead doors, but then there's just the normal person doors. But those doors are made of metal. They're very heavy doors. They're not just typical wood doors or anything. And he asked us a question one time. Looked at the doors and said, "If there was, if there was a zombie coming through that door, and you had, coming from that way, and you had to get through this door, what kick would be best to get through the door?" And again, we looked at the door and we're like, "That's a big metal door. I am not kicking that door. No. I'll probably just open the door. I have a key for it. I'll just unlock it and walk out the door." Like, it's just that mindset of like, I don't know how to describe that mindset of like kick first mindset, I guess. It's just not something that I have. I've been doing martial arts since I was 10. And it's just not there. Like, I want to try, if we're talking about like the real world applications of martial arts being the self-defense, personal protection aspect, I'm going to try and avoid it first. And I think that's the biggest pop culture effect, is people don't do that or don't think of that.
Yeah, just always on the offense right away.
Immediately, yes.
Yeah.
Everything.
I want to know which kid that is.
It wasn't a kid. This was an adult who joined.
Who was it?
I don't remember. He joined for a little while and then didn't and stopped
okay.
coming.
Shocker.
Yeah, was adult. But that's the point, right? Like, this wasn't a child with child questions, right? Because like kids come in with questions. Because kids join martial arts. Like, as a kid, one of my biggest representations in culture and pop culture to martial arts was the Ninja Turtles. So kids come in with that fantasy version of it. But sometimes, because of pop culture, how big it is and how much a part of our lives it is, sometimes adults come in with that too. And they come in with whatever versions they see from shows on Netflix or from video games or whatever, and then they still bring that into the school, thinking that's what they're gonna, that to some degree that's what it's gonna be like, and it's not. We're not. Martial arts in modern day is not the same as when it was traditionally, originally being learned in, hundreds of years ago in China and Japan and whatever countries that various arts, whatever art you practice comes from. We're not even learning it for the same reasons. So there's a lot of training things that are different. And even then, the modern day depictions of those historical training methods are still exaggerated, because we're putting it into a TV show. It has to look like something fun to watch. I think.
I I want to talk about Xena.
I love that show.
Xena was my introduction to like on-screen combat and stuff, because that was like the first show I watched. One of them, anyways, besides like cartoons, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
First show I watched with stage combat and that kind of thing. Yeah, but it's interesting you say that like kick first mentality, because in Xena, like her character was she was like, the show starts with her turning over a new leaf, going from evil to good, mm-hmm. and dealing with those changes. And then so she has that mindset of, you know, like talk your way out of it first and then fight when you have to. But she ends up having to fight all the time.
Yeah, because that's the show.
Hard life, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was like, but no, she does make that effort, you know, especially with Gabrielle, her sidekick, if you're not familiar with the show. She's like super, super peaceful mindset, and like always making sure Xena stays on track with that kind of thing, isn't just resorting to violence when it's unnecessary. Yeah. So I think that's like the only one I can think of offhand that was very, very strict about, like, that's how they approach the violent scenes and stuff. It's not just there just for entertainment. That said, like, another thing that I've noticed about it too is, you know, watching it as a kid was so great, but I wasn't a martial artist. Like, I started when I was around like 7 or 8, and I had already been watching the show. And then at this point, being in my 30s, and if I watch the show now, being an experienced martial artist, I'm like, oh my god, Gabrielle is such a better fighter than Xena. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe like she just does more of her own fight choreography, or what it is, but like, it's just you can tell her character has like way better form and just technique and all that, and Xena's just kind of like, she has a bit more of that WWE kind of style. Sure.
Personally, I like to think that it's because Gabrielle used a bow staff, which is what I use.
You use all her weapons. She got sais too, like.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, like in later seasons, she starts using those instead.
Yeah, she does. I think every weapon that I train with, Gabrielle uses, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Like, I don't do nunchucks anymore. I mostly do like sais and staff and eskrima sticks. Yeah,
those are her go-to. Yeah. So, anyways, those are my Xena observations.
That's a good question. I have not watched Xena in so long. I can't remember the last time I watched an episode of that show. And now you're making me really want to go back and watch it and see and look at that. I remember.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, I mean,
ish.
Here's the thing. I like a lot of old TV shows. I rewatch them a lot. Not all of them hold up, but I still watch them. You know, I think one of my first introductions, like to live action martial arts, I'm going to use the word martial arts here extremely loosely, like painfully loose. Like, it's not even really attached to the media. It's kind of like loosely draped across it, kind of. Adam West Batman, the old 66 Batman TV show, was one of the first shows I watched that had like, that I can remember watching, at least. I remember like running home from school every day to watch it on TV because it was reruns. And that was a show, like, I mean, it was one of the ones that like doesn't hold up well, but also kind of does in a weird way. But obviously the fighting and the choreography in that show was not meant to be accurate in any sense, and it's really fun to watch that. I'm not sure if you've seen Adam West Batman, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I used to watch it too.
Okay, so then, like, you know, like, it's super hyper exaggerated, like, you know, great big wind up for a punch, goes around the guy's the receiving end of that kind of receiving end is just kind of standing there waiting for it, like hyper exaggerated fight scenes. But as a kid, they're really, really fun to watch. They're really, really good. And I think that was one of my first live action introductions to it. And going, and then moving on to other things. I think I watched what was in the 90s, the boy equivalent of Xena. I watched the Hercules show. I watched Xena too, because I didn't care. It was cool either way.
They were back to back. It was very convenient.
It was, yeah. But you move on to other shows that had slightly better choreography, and that got me into wanting to do that stuff as well. I also think I had, as a kid, because again, you're kids and you watch that show, I was victim to the same mentality as well, of like, movie martial arts is real, and that's what you do. You do jump flips and jump and do a front flip and lie behind the guy and then like spin kick, and that's how that works. But it's definitely fun, like you're saying, going back and rewatching things and seeing how the choreo, like as an actual martial artist now, rewatching old shows that you watch as a kid and looking at the choreography and being like, understanding it a little more, understanding what's good and what's bad about it and where they got things from. It's really fun for me to. I have a hard time watching shows with fight scenes now because I enjoy them. I'm able to just enjoy it and just watch the fight scene, but I'm still always like analyzing it, like looking at it and picking it apart and seeing what they're doing. It's really fun. But I'm trying to think of my other big one is always going to be Turtles. The Ninja Turtles. Like the live action movies are great. I love those.
Did you see the one with Megan Fox?
Yeah.
How was it? I didn't see it.
It's okay. I'm gonna take a slight tangent here, very, very quick. I have a unique ability where when I'm watching something, I can remove it from the source material and appreciate it for what it is. It's not a good Ninja Turtles film. It is a good turn off your brain monster fighting film. Not a good Ninja Turtles film. I want to put that out there.
Right.
I want to make that clear. As a person who really likes Ninja Turtles a lot, still, it's not a good Ninja Turtles film. It's a good film for I don't want to think about the story. I don't want to think about anything. I just want to see some CGI monsters fight each other.
Right.
I didn't see the second one. I'm not sure if it's better.
They made a second one?
They sure did.
With Megan Fox?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
You know what? I want to just shout out that I love Megan Fox. And I don't know why. I
think she's an underappreciated actor. I think she's actually a better actor than people give her credit for. I think she just gets
she has Marilyn Monroe syndrome.
Bad directing, bad. Yeah, I think she gets bad roles with bad writing, or writing that doesn't suit her, or there's a problem with direction, and there's a disconnect there. I don't think she's a bad actor.
No. When she gets the right opportunity, it's like. Yeah.
It's like, hey.
I think going forward, hopefully she'll be in cooler stuff. But anyway, we should call this show Tangents.
Man, that's definitely a show we could do. Just talk about nothing. But yeah, so obviously there's people that come into the schools who haven't done martial arts, so their sole experience with martial arts is what they see on TV. But there is also the people that have been in martial arts for a while who still somehow have that Hollywood version of it in their heads. And that's what they perceive as themselves and as the martial arts that they do. And I think that has that's an effect from popular culture that I think is having a real negative effect on the martial arts. I think when a lot of people talk about fake martial arts, which is another topic completely, we can have a dozen other podcasts covering that. But I think when people talk about fake martial arts, I think these people with this mentality are not helping the argument. they're really coloring a bad image of martial arts.
So can you give an example?
Take a look at YouTube. There are so many martial artists out there. I've seen, I use YouTube sometimes for reference material, looking up some things, but there are so many examples of people with just this superhuman idea of what it means to be a martial artist, and what it, the abilities they have through martial arts. They go, there's this mysticism belief behind it that I meditate and I do these things and I practice and I get so into it and achieve these inhuman feats. Have you ever seen Bloodsport?
I don't think so.
It's an old Jean-Claude Van Damme film.
I might have seen like some of it, or like back in the day kind of thing. I can't remember though.
Sure. Here's the thing. It's about a man named Frank Dukes. And I want to say Dukes is spelled D-U-X. About a man named Frank Dukes, who was in the film, he's like a CIA, some kind of intelligence agency person who fights in this underground tournament and wins this thing and does all these different things, and it's your typical 80s over the top martial arts film. It's very, very over the top and exaggerated for the purpose of media. Frank Dukes is a real person who claims the whole thing is a true story. The whole story was written, he was part of the writing, and he claims this is all 100% true, that he did all these things, and that he's still in some capacity. Watching interviews with Frank Dukes is interesting. And there's videos of him doing things where I'm not sure if he actually believes it or if he's just blatantly lying. There's a video of him where he's breaking bulletproof glass with his bare hand. And you watch him smash the pane of glass, and it's very clearly not bulletproof glass. It doesn't shatter the way bulletproof glass shatters. It shatters just like
sugar glass.
Sugar glass. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Is sugar glass is what it looks like. It shatters in a bunch of pieces, which isn't what bulletproof glass does. There's people that get that mentality of like, I can do all these crazy things. I can, hit any type of glass or whatever I want with my hand and break it. Like I've seen videos of guys actually breaking bricks with their hands in for lack of a better term, I'll say superhuman looking stunts and feats of strength.
I've seen that in real life though.
I've seen it in real life. Yes. I've seen people do it. But there's a difference between a thing you can do. There's a difference between a trick or a stunt and actual application. Mm-hmm. One is a really cool thing that shows the discipline that it took, that you have, and the strength that you have, and the concentration, and there are definitely things you can gain from martial arts. But sitting there and focusing and being able to break a brick doesn't entirely translate to application. It shows something. It shows a level of strength. It shows a level of focus. But it doesn't. It's not a one-to-one thing, I guess. And there's people that I've seen a lot of people with this God complex. Is that the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for God complex, I think, on themselves because they're in martial arts. They've been doing it for so long, and they take the movie version of what that means of being the samurai, mystic samurai master, and all that kind of stuff, and it just really paints a weird picture of what martial artists are. And for the most part, I mean, they're like you and me. We're normal people that just really like martial arts.
I'm normal people?
Like 80% of the time.
Yeah. Thank you.
The other 20% you're shopping for Halloween stuff.
In August. Shh. Tee.
It just hurts. It hurts me. I like Halloween. It just means the year's almost over. That's all. That's the problem for me.
No, but that makes it's like it cushions the blow of summer ending. For me. That's how I see it. It's like shit, and then you're like, oh wait, we still have something great, and then you'd be sad in November.
I'm glad that works for you. That's nice.
I'm like Dr. Phil. So that reminds me, like, breaking materials that, you know, on TV they make it seem way easier than it is. It reminds me of an episode of Mythbusters where they did, like, when the guy shoots a locked door, like when they shoot a like a doorknob with a gun, like at point blank range. Yeah, so apparently that won't do anything, and you could get seriously hurt. And yeah, so it's like just little things like that. And then, yeah, and I know that's not really like a martial arts thing, but like that also reminds me of another show that used to be on. I don't know if they still make it, but it's called Deadliest Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
And they compare like one warrior to another, like an actual historical figure, and like how their weapons compare to each other.
Yeah.
And what kind of damage it would realistically do. And so I think like stuff like that is a really good idea for a show, because then people have a realistic perspective of how these things actually work.
Right.
And like you watch Braveheart or something, you don't realize how damn heavy that sword is. You know, when he's having these fight scenes and that kind of thing, because they're just whipping it around like the plastic it probably is, and you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I really like Deadliest Warrior for that. So, and then you can actually see the damage you wouldn't really see in real life, I hope. Like I hope you don't use weapons on people, but yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is like, I know, yeah, like, especially like Braveheart, like I'm trying to think, he was swinging a bastard sword, wasn't he? Wasn't that the kind of sword it was?
I can't remember. I just remember it was like really giant.
Yeah.
And then when I saw a replica of one once, and it was hard to pick up.
Could have been a claymore.
Like let alone fight with it.
Yeah. That's the thing, like claymores and big swords like that, like, yeah, they're heavy. Any swords, like even katana, which are a fairly lightweight sword, are heavier than I say they're heavier than they look. Right, and it's definitely a lot of, because yeah, I mean, film's not using a real sword, using wood or plastic or whatever to just swing it around fast, and it's just nothing that gives you a false sense of realism.
Did you ever watch the show? I don't know if it's Green Hornet or Green Lantern, the one that Bruce Lee is in.
Green Hornet.
Okay. Did you ever watch that show?
Yep.
Yeah, you did?
Mm-hmm.
How is it? Because I've never seen it. I might have seen an episode once.
Oh, you mean the original show?
Yeah.
That had Bruce Lee? I mean, it's good. It's I think it was same era as the Adam West Batman series, but it took itself a little more seriously. Right, so it wasn't the silly, it's still Bruce Lee version of martial arts. So it's still exaggerated, and it was still made for TV. But I mean, there wasn't unless I'm misremembering, and I hope I'm not, but there wasn't the big exclamations of bam, woof, all that stuff on the screen. It was good though. Bruce Lee as Kit, it was a good job. It was really fun. Obviously, as a kid, I watched the show. I didn't really have an understanding of who Bruce Lee was yet.
I think that was a big thing about the show too, because it introduced him to so many, introduced him to a wider audience that way.
I think so. I think it did, yeah. And but no, it was a well done show. I mean, Green Hornet's character wasn't the fighter. He's the guy. He had the gun, but that was Kit's job. Kit was the guy he was the guard. He was the muscle man. So it was mostly him doing the fighting. And funny thing, there was actually a crossover episode with them on Adam West Batman. And there was supposed to be a fight scene between Bruce Lee and Robin. And
I wonder who would win that fight.
Here's the thing: I don't remember who I feel like Robin won.
Because it was his show.
Because it was on the Batman show. I feel like it was Robin that won. But I remember there was Bruce Lee had issues with the fact that his character lost, that Robin won that fight. I think he like talked to the writers or something to try and negotiate something other than coming to a draw or something instead of him losing. But I remember I remember reading something one time about him having issues with the fact that his character wasn't supposed to win the fight, which I thought was really funny.
That's true, though.
I mean, it's Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a big one, I think, too. Like, Bruce Lee was he was huge in the West, for sure, for introducing martial arts to a lot of people. I think that was the Bruce Lee era of movies and television. I think was there was a huge insurgence of people getting into martial arts at that time. So I mean, his representation of it obviously did a lot for martial arts. He had a lot of philosophy in everything he did. It wasn't just acting for him. It wasn't just martial arts. It wasn't just kicking and punching. He always had his philosophical views tied into things, and he talked. His characters, the characters he portrayed always took the high ground. Right? They were never they're never the sneaky guy. They're never in the sneaky backhanded, underhanded thing. Right? It never any of that. And he was always trying to. I feel like his characters always would try to not fight. Do what I was saying before, trying to avoid the fight first, and then get into it if need be. But I think there's an interesting thing about the way he chose to portray his characters, was that, especially as the hero, like he was always clearly in the right, I guess, and always on the high ground.
Yeah, and that's a really good persona to have on screen, to kind of dodge those misconceptions about like how you should conduct yourself as a martial artist.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan, what I really like about his choreography is that he like incorporates things from his environment.
Yes.
Right, which is like a big part of what we learn, is to use what you have. Yeah, so like, and a lot of what we've been taught to is like anything can be a weapon with some creativity, right?
Yep.
And yeah, and he's all about that in his movies and doing that choreography. So, and no one else really does that, like maybe to a degree, but it's just like watching the fights, even if you're not into that kind of thing, it's still interesting to see how he's gonna use his environment and like just the items around him incorporated into the fight scenes. Yeah,
for sure. He's super. Again, another big inspiration of mine. I got eventually ended up watching a lot of his stuff as well. And I mean, a lot of his stuff too comes from. If you look at his history, he is classically trained in a lot of things. Like a lot of wushu and Chinese martial arts nowadays, especially when you go look at the theater representation of it, it comes from traditional Japanese theater, from plays, and they used martial arts, they used wushu for their theater. Like Eastern theater is interesting and very different than Western theater was in like Europe and eventually the Americas. As far as like the types of stories, but the way they told the stories, right? Eastern theater is much more physical, and it's a mix of dance and kung fu and martial arts and song, and then you have everything else on top of that. But so Jackie Chan is trained in that classical Chinese theater of dancing, singing. So like Chinese opera, which is why he has his own like albums. Like, he's an actual singer. So he's
I
trained.
didn't know he did all that. That's crazy.
He does so much stuff because that's what he's trained in. His martial arts comes from that background of the theatrical side of it. So that's where he gets that that's where you get that element of everything in the set is part of the play, is part of the action, and how can I use that? So you get with Jackie Chan when he's doing that stuff, you get a very unique, very distinct feel to his choreography versus someone else that doesn't have that. Like, if you and I were to choreograph a scene, as good as I think we are, and as good a scene as we could do, we don't have that training. We're not, Chinese theater trained martial artists, so we're not going to choreograph the same way. It's not going to look the same. He's got a very distinct feel to it because of that training. I love it. It looks really super cool.
Also, a new, a more modern shout out, I guess I wanted to put out there was how much I'm in love with Wonder Woman, and how you can tell, you can tell Gal Gadot did all this fight training and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just, there is the fantastical, crazy impossible things because she's not human, right? But it's are
you sure about that?
It mixes so well with the actual fight choreography, and you can just tell they put a lot of effort into it, and it looks pretty real, and I just really, really enjoyed that. I should show you something. 1 second. Give me a second.
This is entirely unscripted. I don't know what's happening. Sam has run away. We have no idea if she's coming back. She's got tiny legs, so this could take a while. She's still going. How big is her place? Where'd she go? Oh, she's back. Okay. The screen is freezing a bit. Oh, that's really cool.
I know, right?
That's nice.
Do you love it?
I do. It's very nice.
I got a blue one as well.
It still has the Wonder Woman logo on it?
Yeah.
Nice. Actually, I have no idea why. That makes me think of another... I appreciate the faces. Delightful. Very good.
You can't see my faces. That's the point.
You're speaking with your eyes.
What did you want to say, Thomas?
It's actually rather disconcerting. Talking about Wonder Woman, actually, that made me think of another huge thing for most martial artists. I don't know, maybe most martial artists, but a lot of people in martial arts. I'm as you know, I'm a giant nerd, and big into anime, Japanese animation. And a lot of people are really big fans of Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball in general. I think that's another huge influence on people getting into martial arts. And obviously, I think just saying exaggerated and over the top is not quite an accurate description of Dragon Ball Z. It's got some really cool fight scenes, but I mean, it is clearly, it's an anime. It's a Japanese anime, so it's everything you would expect from an anime. They're flying. There's the couple episodes of screaming and doing this, charging spirit bomb. Very, very climactic in the show, but just another great representation. It's really fun. It gets a lot of people into martial arts, but that's not one. Generally speaking, I think that's not one that people buy too much into. That's how martial arts looks. I thought about that though, because I found a Dragon Ball Z face mask that I wanted to get. That's why I thought about it.
Did you see it online?
Yeah.
I got these, 2 of them at Walmart for $8.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think the only face masks we bought one for each of us online, and then the company I work for shipped face masks to everyone.
Nice.
With the company logo.
I got some of those for myself with my company logo.
You have a pretty cool logo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It looks nice.
We'll put a link in the description below.
Yeah. and link your shop. What do you know? You have.
I will.
You
I
have
have
shop
a
now.
Redbubble shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about. Hang on, I'm gonna. Okay, I have a shop now.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy stuff with my awesome logo. I'll
What-
put it right here.
What business is that for, Sam? What do you do?
I am a videographer. I do commercial videos and music videos, some photography. Yeah, all that good stuff. So I designed a logo that, because I changed the name so it was like more me, and I just wasn't vibing with the other name. So I just pulled the plug, changed it, designed it so that it would look good on stuff as well, because I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I started a Redbubble shop, and my name on Redbubble is Sam Layer, all one word. And yeah, so you can get a black and a white version of the logo on t-shirts, mugs, notebooks, phone cases, whatever you want. Masks.
Nice. I mean, we could talk about martial artists and film all day. I think. I mean, there's like Donnie Yen is a big one. I love his works.
I don't know who that is.
Donnie Yen. I guess he's been around for a while, but I think he's gaining a lot of popularity lately. Just another actor, martial artist. Jet Li up to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Jet Li's awesome. I really like him. I really like his style because it's just, I don't know, it's like really quick and brutal and slash creative at the same time. Yeah, I really like his style. And then to throw a woman in the mix.
Yeah, please.
I can't pronounce her name. So I don't know. I'll put it up on the screen or something. But she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Rush Hour 2.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, she's awesome. Like every time I've seen her in something, she's.
I can't think of her name right
I
now.
love her. I know her name, but I don't know how to say it.
Try saying it just to refresh my memory, 'cause I can't think of her name.
Like phonetically to me it looks like Ziyi Zhang. Like Ziyi.
Sorry, I need to look this up because I know the actor. I cannot just leave it. I can't let this go.
Probably just like murdered that name, but
Crouching.
I told you how to
Tiger.
spell it.
Yeah, that wasn't helpful though. Cast.
Yeah, it was very helpful.
Zhang Ji.
Yeah, it was the other way around, but she switched it at some point.
I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah, she's really
Yeah.
good. Also, Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah.
She's really awesome as well. Yeah, I love a lot of her stuff. God, I forgot how good the cast is for this film.
Yeah, I watched it recently again because I always really liked it, like
Mhm.
Crouching Tiger. And except, I don't know, it was way more corny than I remember.
It is.
So I guess it wasn't like, I guess when I watched it, when it came out, I was a lot younger.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the sequel?
So, no, I didn't even know there was a sequel.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't say Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in the title, so it's easy to miss. But it's 100%
Oh.
a sequel.
Well, I'll have to check that out then. But yeah, the fight scenes in the movies are still great.
Sword of Destiny, I believe is the name.
Okay, yeah. I've heard of it. I didn't realize that was a sequel.
Yeah, it is.
Is it on the flicks?
It is.
Oh my god.
Actually,
I'm doing that.
on Google.
That's what I'm doing tonight.
On Google, it says Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny. So I might actually have the name in the title. I don't think I didn't remember that. But yeah, Michelle Yeoh is in that one again.
Sweet.
God, there's so many martial arts films that we could talk about. They're just so...
Well, we could do a whole episode on that.
We could. Like, there's so many martial artists. We could just talk about just martial artists that like film martial artists that have inspired us, and whose work we like. I think we should do that as an episode because, I mean, I could sit here and talk all day about just martial artists that I admire and love, and try to model my own training and things that I want to make with martial arts. Like there's a lot of things that that both of us are working towards making and doing in martial arts beyond just podcasting and talking about it.
Why do it when we can sit on our ass and talk about it?
I can critique it instead.
Yeah.
No, I actually want to do it. And so, I mean, we could talk about the things that inspired the productions and the creations that we're working on. I think that'd be a really fun podcast topic because I could do that all day.
Yeah. Comment below.
Ooh.
If you want us to talk about that.
I legit sometimes forget we have a comment section.
I know. Also comment on how to pronounce that girl's name.
I think I got it. So I'm going to say I think I got it right. Sure I did.
It sounds right, but I mean, like, I don't know.
I mean, I have some Chinese friends, and I've tried listening to them, because I don't speak Chinese, I speak Japanese, which doesn't sound the same at all, but I'd like to pretend as though that gives me an advantage. I'll look up her name again. I want to try and pronounce it again. Before we sign off, I do want to mention that we are actually on iTunes now. So that's all.
It's like we made it in the world.
Yeah, it's all straightened out. So you can find us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts.
Thank you for listening to the High Frequency Kicks podcast. Remember to subscribe on your favorite streaming service and give us a like.